for stops. The bus smells like old coffee and too many people. Morning traffic crawls past the windows. Grace sits halfway back, her work bag at her feet. Hands folded are on a paper coffee cup that's gone cold. She stares forward, not thinking much of anything. Just writing, just another weekday. Soon the bus begins to slow down. Stop 1. At the first stop, a woman entered the bus and sat behind Grace. The woman tapped her foot on the ground. Tap, tap, tap. "You always were impatient," came the woman's voice from behind. Grace turned around, wondering if the woman was speaking to her. But the woman was looking out the window, still tapping her foot. Stop 2. The second stop brings a small group of riders, including a man with a warm smile. He locked eyes with Grace as he passed by to the rear of the bus. "Keep going," he whispered with a wink. Stop 3. On the third stop, a businessman with a worried expression sat next to Grace. He didn't look at her or speak. He just sighed, like the weight of the world was on his shoulders. The final stop. The bus neared Grace's stop. The woman behind her continued to tap. Grace stood and gathered her things. As she began to exit the bus, she saw a familiar face waiting to enter. She was a young woman looking both terrified and ready to take on the world. The young woman was repeating something to herself, but Grace couldn't hear what she was saying. Grace, finally realizing what the young woman was saying, stopped in her tracks. "If not you, then who?" Shocked, Grace dropped her cup when she realized who the young woman was. It was Grace herself, but it was young Grace, just starting out in life. Grace. "If not you, then who?" was something her grandfather used to say to her. He'd always say it with a kind wink. Grace's memory flashed back to the day she left home to pursue her dreams. Her bags were packed and loaded into the Uber, ready to take her to the city. "You got this, kiddo," Grandpa said, wiping his eyes. "If not you, then who?" Grace then hugged her dad. "Thanks, Dad," Grace said, between sobs. "Thank you for your help and all the extra hours you worked. Because of you and Grandpa, I can pursue my dreams." As Grace headed to the Uber, she saw her neighbor, Mrs. Baxter, waving goodbye. Mrs. Baxter tapped her foot and said, "You always were impatient. Don't leave without a hug." Grace ran to Mrs. Baxter and melted into a warm hug. Suddenly, an alarm blared and Grace woke from her dream. Grace yawned and looked around. It had been nearly 10 years since Grace left home. Grandpa and Mrs. Baxter passed a few years ago, but their love and life lessons live on in Grace. Grace had done well for herself thanks to the love and support from family and friends. And because Grace's dad worked hard to make Grace's dreams come true, she paid off his mortgage and bought him a fishing boat. Something he always wanted. Life was good. Life was full thanks to encouragement and love. If you want to hear more stories, hit that subscribe button.